Your dog is standing right next to you and suddenly leans against your side with their full weight. This happens silently, without any barking or jumping. They simply apply a steady, heavy pressure. You probably think they are just showing love, or perhaps being a little needy, which feels quite sweet. However, this isn't actually a hug in the way we humans think of it. It isn't a simple plea for affection either, and you are almost certainly reading the situation incorrectly. There is a specific point in this story that will completely change how you perceive this gesture moving forward. Your dog is communicating, but you might be ignoring the actual message they are trying to send. For now, let's look at what happens when you react to this physical contact. When they lean in, you likely pet them back and tell them they are a good girl or boy. You might even take a photo, and by doing so, you are reinforcing a behavior that might not actually be healthy to encourage. Dogs cannot speak with words, so they use their bodies to convey a wide range of complex emotions. Leaning with their entire torso isn't just a single word, but an entire dictionary of different meanings. The specific meaning of the gesture depends entirely on the context of the environment around you in that moment. Unfortunately, most pet owners only know one way to translate this deep and steady physical contact. To truly understand your dog, you have to look past the surface of the action itself. Observing the subtle shifts in their environment is the first step toward better communication. Dogs do not have hugs in the human sense because paws on shoulders usually signal dominance, and a nose in the neck is an investigation. Side leaning is a behavior rooted deep in wolf pack mechanics that evolved long before dogs lived with humans. A study from 2018 in the journal Applied Animal Behavior Science examined cortisol levels and physical contact patterns. It found that dogs with an anxious attachment style initiate torso contact an average of 2.3 times more often than secure dogs. They don't use vocalizations or jumping to show this. They use the literal weight of their own bodies. This physical pressure activates skin receptors and triggers an oxytocin release in both the dog and the human. It feels warm and fuzzy, but that chemical reaction doesn't reveal the actual cause of the behavior. The presence of oxytocin simply confirms that a moment of contact has occurred. When a dog feels anxious, they seek out physical pressure rather than just simple warmth from their owner. A steady contact with a surface helps lower the activation of the sympathetic nervous system in their bodies. This is the same mechanical principle behind therapeutic compression vests designed for dogs with severe anxiety issues. If the leaning happens when a stranger appears, or after a long separation, it isn't just about them missing you. They are essentially using your body as a living anxiety wrap to regulate their internal stress levels. Additionally, dogs use this side leaning as a way to mark their territory without using a scent. By pressing against you, they are making a clear statement to the world about who you belong to. This behavior allows them to assert their position in a way that is clear but non-aggressive. This territorial behavior is common among wolves, where leaning against a packmate claims a position in space. When your dog leans on you at the park, or when another dog is near, they are often claiming you as a resource. If you pet and praise them in that moment, you are confirming that their possessive behavior is correct. This can gradually lead to more serious guarding issues if you aren't careful about how you respond to them. There is also a more subtle meaning to this gesture involving a request for you to slow down. Dogs notice changes in a human's emotional state and tempo much earlier than the human does. If you are rushing or feeling scattered, they may lean in to physically halt your movement. This is not a sign of their own anxiety, but a sincere attempt to synchronize with you. Studies on interspecies heart rate synchrony from 2019 and 2020 show that physical contact can align your rhythms within minutes. This means your dog is literally pulling you into their own state of being to help you find emotional balance. Consider the case of a 5-year-old golden retriever named Luna, who started leaning very heavily since she was 3. Every evening, when her owner sat down at her desk to work, Luna would press against her leg. The pressure would start light and then get stronger until the owner finally stopped to give her attention. The owner assumed Luna was just bored and wanted some affection while the work was being done. However, a session with an animal behavior specialist revealed a much deeper truth behind the daily habit. This discovery changed how the owner perceived every interaction they had shared previously. The specialist discovered that Luna only leaned when a specific work playlist was playing on the speakers. This playlist contained several tracks with very low-frequency bass between 40 and 60 Hz. While a human hears this as a simple background rhythm, it is physically uncomfortable for a dog. With a hearing range of up to 65,000 Hz, those vibrating frequencies were actually causing her pain. Luna wasn't being sweet or needy. She was desperately asking her owner to turn the noise off. For 2 years, her owner thought it was a sign of love when it was actually a plea for relief. This shows how easily we can mistake a cry for help for a simple moment of affection. Listening to the physical feedback of your pet is the only way to ensure they feel safe in their home. There is a point where leaning stops being simple communication and becomes a symptom of a deeper disorder. This is known as hyper-attachment, where a dog cannot manage their stress levels without constant physical contact with their person. It is no longer a choice to be near you, but a physiological inability to be apart from you. A 2020 study showed that cortisol levels in these dogs during separation match the stress humans feel before public speaking. If your dog follows you everywhere and leans on your feet every time you sit, it may be chronic anxiety. By petting them constantly in response, you might be telling them that their extreme anxiety is the correct reaction. Dogs also seek pressure when they have physical pain in their joints or internal organs. External pressure can actually dull pain signals, much like a child pressing a hand against a bruised knee. If the leaning is localized to one specific part of their body, it is a good idea to have a veterinarian check that area. However, if the leaning happens when you are both calm and there are no distractions, it is likely the bond you imagined. In these quiet moments, the physical contact genuinely lowers blood pressure for you and cortisol for the dog. This is true mutual regulation, but it only works if you truly understand the context of the moment. 3 or 4 days of careful observation can tell you more about your dog than any complex theory. If the leaning only happens when you get home and lasts over 5 minutes, it is time to see a specialist. If the pressure is localized to one spot, please rule out physical pain with your vet immediately. Next time your dog leans on you, try waiting 3 seconds before you reach out to pet them. Take a moment to look at what is happening around you to see if there is a hidden trigger. Your dog doesn't have the words to tell you they are scared, in pain, or simply want you to slow down. They only have their bodies, and they use their weight to speak because it is the only language they truly master. You have always thought they were leaning because they love you, but they are actually leaning because they are talking. The real question is not why they are doing it, but whether or not you are actually listening. Please share your stories in the comments about when your dog's leaning was actually a secret signal. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, as our next video will be released very soon. This simple change in your perspective could fundamentally transform the relationship you have with your pet.